That is huge. Episode 14 of Spice and Wolf introduces the new OP, which, yes, by Aimer, really fantastic song. And that wasn't the only surprise the OP had. Yes, this OP basically confirmed that we are going to be hitting the skipped volume of Spice and Wolf, which is a very good sign that we might actually get a full adaptation of this thing. This is something I've been questioning ever since they announced a readaptation of this series, is are they going to do it properly, not skip content, and do the whole thing? And not that this confirms that they're doing the whole thing, but this is a skipped volume that they did with the first anime adaptation that technically needed to be adapted in order to continue on. There's a lot of people that speculate the reason they skipped volume 4 of the novel series to do the anime adaptation is because they didn't plan on continuing it. Because apparently, I don't know the full context of this, apparently one character in that, which you'll see in the OP, is kind of important to later on. So again, seeing these characters in the OP is a good sign that we might actually get a full adaptation. That is fantastic. They're not skipping something. Now, they can still technically skip it, and I don't know why they would show them in the OP. But again, really great sign there. I am super pumped for that. The moment I seen that character, I'm like, I don't recognize those characters. I was like, wait. And I had to look it up. I'm like, okay, good. And I've seen people confirming it on Crunchyroll anyways, so great stuff there. I am super pumped. I could not be more happy to see that, again, this is a sign that we might actually get a full adaptation. But anyways, outside of that, really, like I said, really great OP. Like seeing some of the characters that I do actually recognize. And yes, the ED was good as well. And I'll have a lot of fun having that on our music podcast to Knowing My Brother because he doesn't like the auto-tuning stuff. Anyways, episode 14 of Spice and Wolf. Let's jump into this episode proper. Yes, introducing Amati, who's not my favorite character. Well, he's an okay dude. There's a side of me that, while I love the storytelling around Amati, I also don't like the drama that's there. It's an uncomfortable drama that is a good thing. It's a good thing that it makes me uncomfortable, that I'm like, God, I wish things wouldn't be like this, but it technically is. But it's fine. We'll see how they handle it with the new adaptation, and I'm looking forward to it. You're already seeing signs of it opening up the episode, having Lawrence and Holo, and they're having a lot of fun together, talking about the warmth of the tale. There is a little bit in here about how the area they're going to is much different than where they've been before. We have a lot of people here that are pagans and Orthodox believers, and yes, how that's going to have to change how Lawrence speaks to people. I like how when he first meets Amati, he's like, oh wow, you're from the Rowan Company too. Well, the Divines. Oh wait, I can't say that. No, it's fine. I'm a believer too. It's fine. It's some good stuff. I do appreciate that kind of change in culture and how Lawrence kind of has to tweak how he speaks to people based on that change of cultures. And yes, technically how Holo herself presents herself. She has to wear a sign that she's a nun, but she doesn't perform missionary activities. So it's like this idea that nobody's going to be uncomfortable with her being around. So definitely a change in culture, change in how people see things. And yes, technically having the introduction of Amati with Holo. And her immediately, very quickly, starting to play into him. I don't like that aspect. Like, she's totally got Amati just wrapped around her finger within no time. This kid's all going doki doki with him. But yeah, Amati is a really interesting character because, yes, even though he's very, very young, it seems like he is progressing very fastly. And I like to see that kind of contrast between his success versus what Lawrence is doing. And we also get another perspective of a friend of Lawrence in this episode. It was Mark or something like that. And how Mark is just a little bit ahead of where Lawrence is, finally being able to settle down with his family. And then you have this kid that's much younger than them that has exceeded even them. He's still a traveling merchant, but he's making a lot of money. But no, I got a massive kick out of the fact that the moment that Lawrence arrives at this city, he gets a letter. And he's like, well, yeah, I wish I got this letter a long time ago. He finally received a letter that tells him, hey, the price on the armor is going down. Be careful. And she's like, yeah, that's technically like the difference between heaven and hell, depending on if you get a letter or not. But I like this because, yes, and you can probably attribute to the fact that Lawrence didn't end up on a boat somewhere. He does technically take this stuff in strides. Like, oh crap, it doesn't see this letter as like, gosh dang it, I should have gotten this a long time ago, and gets angry about it. No, he goes, he's able to laugh it off. And again, I could attribute that to the fact that he didn't end up, in trouble, that he was able to learn from that experience. But still, it's nice to see that he's able to kind of laugh that off. But no, like I said earlier, I do like the scene with Mark and Lawrence because, again, this is kind of a sign of where Lawrence technically wants to get to. But it's really cool to actually have Mark sort of imply the idea that having his own shop, finally being settled down and everything, does come with its difficulties. It's sort of showing to Lawrence that despite the fact this is my goal, This where Mark is right now is where Lawrence wants to be. They both were once amateurs. They both worked side by side, but then at some point, Mark was able to settle down. But Mark right here is telling Lawrence that it's not as if once I got this shop, all my troubles went away. He's like, no, it's fine though. I do like the idea that I can settle down, I can have a wife, I can have children, but at the same time, it does come with its difficulties, and there's times where I wish I can go back on the road again. Like, even though that he's where Lawrence wants to be, he wants to be where Lawrence is now. He wants to go back. I thought that was kind of a nice little contrast they had there. But yeah, I love this is the kind of stuff that I love, the negotiations where you have Mark is basically telling him, oh, you heard the price of the armor's died, right? The whole expedition was canceled. They're melting down all the armor. Nails aren't worth anything. And Lawrence is like, nope, that's a lie. No, that's a lie. There's no way they're going to waste all that fuel to melt down all that stuff to make nails. It would be, and I guess it technically makes sense to the fact that winter's coming. Why would they burn all their fuel for keeping warm right now when they can just buy already processed nails? Again, it does make sense logically that they want to melt down all the armor, but not up here. They're not going to do that up here. That's down south. Here, yes, they want that fuel for the winter that's coming up. So again, it kind of shows that even as buddies, they're still going to be looking out for themselves and want to get a deal for something. And on the opposite end, it's showing that Lawrence isn't an idiot. He actually thinks all this stuff through. So it was a really cool little quick jab back and forth in negotiation. So it was a really cool little scene. But yes, the scene with Holo and Lawrence, I really, really like. And this is them trying to figure out where Holo's homeland is. Now, I like how they kind of point out that this is a pagan town. It has hot springs, but still, archbishops and kings go there incognito so they can enjoy the hot springs. It's like, either despite the fact that this place is full of pagans, people that don't like the pagans will still go there to enjoy the niceties. They're just not going to do it in public. But no, this is one of those sad moments because Lawrence is thinking about the distance. Okay, that's going to be in winter. It's going to be in snow. For us to get there, that's going to be months of travel. And he is even contemplating the idea of, okay, well, if you can travel there in 2 days, which, yes, immediately he thinks of her on foot means in wolf form, darting fast as heck. That's going to take us much longer to get there by carriage. So, well, if I can get you to Nohira, then you can go there by yourself. And she immediately realized at that point that she's making a folly. And again, it's kind of one of those sad realities. It's like, yeah, technically that makes sense. From Lawrence's perspective, this is a long time, and it's going to be a very difficult time to get there. Now, he does correct himself, and I actually meant to check the night novel to see a little bit more into his mind this whole moment, because he is saying, don't take that incorrectly. I still want to help you as much as possible. You can go there in 2 days, get there, and then you come back. I'll wait for you. But I do kind of wonder if he meant that. When he said that earlier, did he actually mean that he was going to wait for her, or is he correcting himself so that she doesn't feel bad? That's a very curious question there, because it's sort of like him trying to appease her that he's not going to abandon her. But you do realize at some point he is going to leave her. So it's kind of one of those frustrating things. He's thinking in his mind, crap, that's right. She said that she didn't want to be alone anymore. So it could be that he intended to say, we'll get to Nohira, and then you can go there on foot in 2 days, rather than it take us months to get there. You can check to see if there's anybody there, and then you can come back to me. If there's nobody in your hometown, then we can just go somewhere else together. Whereas if there's people in your hometown and you're happy and you won't be alone, then we can part ways. Question mark there. But still, what Holo takes from that is, I wasn't thinking. I was taking for granted what I had. I was indulging. And yes, not realizing that a simple year for someone with a short lifespan is a lot. Whereas for me, living so long, it's a blink of an eye. And I wasn't realizing how much of an impact this travel will be for you versus for me. I was indulging. I was being selfish. And it's like, it hurts. It hurts. But again, that's that conundrum that always comes up with this difference in lifespans, is that she's always going to see things differently than what Lawrence does. Really cool scene. Really like it. Like usual, I always have a fascination with lifespan differences. Like, that's why I love Frieren so much. I loved Frieren so much because that was a story about how everything was just merely a year, was merely 10 years, seeing the span of time so differently and taking for granted the moment differently based on how long that time span is. And it's funny because she almost pushes him away. Like, again, when he presses that, no, when we get there, it's fine, I'll wait for you, you can go check it out. She says, while kindness in a male is nice, it would be troublesome if you became overly concerned. Shame on me. I can't help but measure things on my own standards. Humans grow old in a blink of an eye. It almost seems like she's trying to push him away right here. Like, if you become overly concerned with me, it's only going to cause problems for you. Again, because everything is going to take longer and it's not going to be beneficial to you. Again, super cool stuff. Love it. Anyways, that's that. Outside of that, yes, it's Amadi showing up at some point, being over Doki Doki with Holo. She totally is catching up on it. And yes, even Lawrence is catching on it. He's like at some point, if he can see you right now, he would see that this is totally a scam. Just using him for all of his money and then just like discarding him. If that's going to blow up in their face, we'll see. I think that's pretty much the episode. Like I said, I think the big, huge thing here again is the OP. The OP really giving us a very positive sign for the future of the series, and that has me extremely excited. I kind of wonder now at this point if we might get an early announcement of a next season, but I don't know. They might just wait until we find out later on if it's still doing well, because they can always cancel things. But at least for now, it seems like based on the writing itself and the script and what they're adapting, it does give me signs that they're hoping to continue this on, rather than leaving it on a cliffhanger, something, again, that was cut from the last adaptation in order to facilitate a clean cutoff point for the last anime adaptation, which honestly still wasn't a clean cutoff point. It was still done for seemingly a good cutoff point, and this is a great sign. So anyhow, that's my thoughts on episode 14, 13, 14. Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what's all the episode and what you think about the OP. Are you excited? Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips, links, so thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate if it does. Take care.